What's up, guys? We are back at it again, and we're gonna move on since we couldn't get Half-Life 2 to keep going. We're gonna do episode 1 instead. So, that being said, we are back, but let's go ahead and get in there. And here, let's do this, so you guys can see. So, unfortunately, we had to skip and go to episode 1 because I think the game was bugging out, and it basically I had to restart my computer in order to bring it back up. But yeah, that's what we're doing now. We are back, and let's get into it. Chapter 1.
Tell me, Dr. Freeman, if you can. You have destroyed so much. What is it exactly that you have created? Can you name even one thing? I thought not.
It's G-Man. He's looking into our soul.
See about that.
See, this right here makes me think that he is just getting his power and using them as a battery so that he can have the same amount of abilities.
He has to be so
to a lesser degree, probably. Hold on real quick, chat. We gotta fix the audio. Alright, there we go. We're back. It's Dog! The D-O-G, baby!
Dog, I think I found something.
So apparently we took down the facility.
Oh my god! Gordon!
I can't remember if Eli dies or not.
Hey, the gravity gun. Give it to him, Dog.
Thank you.
There, Gordon. Dog's happy to see you. I can tell.
Well, I'm happy to see you
Dog.
too. You pulled
Go
me
get
out
the
of the
monitor
wreck.
set up so we can check in with my dad. He must be worried sick about us. He was so sure I wouldn't find you here. The Citadel's really coming apart.
Still
don't know how I got out of there. The last thing I remember is...
There we go.
Brain falling.
Let's go.
Huge explosion, and then...
Alex, come in.
It's my dad. Really, here's that we found you.
Okay, so we found him. Somewhere.
Dad, Dad! Dad! Are you there?
Alex? Alex, come in.
Hold on a sec, there's so much interference. Hey, dog, give me a hand with this. Okay. Little to the right. There we go. Hold it there.
Dog is an antenna.
Dad.
Alex, where are
Let's go, baby.
God, tell me you're out of the city.
Well, not quite yet.
What?
But listen, Dad, we found him.
You found Gordon? I don't believe it.
Yeah, I'm here.
Listen, you two have to get out of the city. The Citadel could blow at any moment.
There's no question that it will, I'm afraid. Our remote sensors indicate the process is accelerating toward a dark energy flare. Anyone left in the vicinity will be subjected to energetic events.
Sorry about that, Chad. I had to move something else.
Speculation. The ravages to cellular material are
Reiner,
unimaginable.
stop!
Dad?
Oh dear, Eli, I'm sorry, but surely there's no need for undue alarm. Alex is well out of
Undue
harm's way
alarm?
by now.
Well, actually, we're still at the Citadel.
What? Oh dear, but there's really no time. The core is exceedingly close to collapse. Why, there's no way to get far enough without first... Well, nothing short of a direct intervention in the core could possibly retard the reaction.
You mean going in?
Into the core, yes. But it's
Into
far
the
too
core,
dangerous
yes.
to consider. The chamber will be bathed in radiation.
Well, you do have the hazard suit. If we
Yes,
find
I
a way
do.
into the Citadel, it's possible we could...
Alex, no!
But Dad!
Izzy, talk some sense into her.
I'm sorry, Eli, but I don't see any other way. It would help us evacuate more citizens.
We can do this, Dad.
Okay, Alex, okay, just promise me. Promise me that you won't take a single unnecessary risk.
I promise. I love you.
I don't know about that
I
one.
love you too, baby. I'll be praying for you.
Don't worry. I'll see you soon. Yeah. Don't worry. Let's see if we can find a way into the Citadel from somewhere along the rim. Dog, a little help, please?
Let's go, doggy. Putting in the work, baby.
Thanks. Okay, boy.
all
Pack
right.
up and meet us on the far side of this ridge.
Alright, I gotta change controls again, chat. Hold up. We just have to change one of them. Clear key, edit, C.
Whoa.
And we're back.
What a drop.
Hey, there you go,
You,
Broken.
Gordon?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I think it was just the game crashing. I had to do a hard reboot, though. So I figured we'd move on to the next one, because it's clearly not going to work. So we're on episode 1 now. Alright, well, I guess we're going down. Whoa. Yeah, not worth the risk carrying on. I agree. Plus, I don't want to waste any more time than I have to. Maybe we'll watch a lore video here later. Shows what happened.
Why's Dog taking so long? Dog! Dog!
Yeah, where did Dog go? Where is he?
Oh my god! Dog! Dog! Dog, are you alright?
Oh, there he is.
You scared the hell out of me. Now stay with us. And help us find a way over.
Oh, you're in the UK? Nice. It does great lore vids? Oh, sure. Absolutely. We'll watch it when we call it here on this one.
Well, Dog, what do you think?
Because I'll want to sit
Any
and watch
ideas?
something after this. So maybe that's what we'll do. If you got a video for me, you can throw it in the chat. I got links enabled. I don't care about none of that.
That's not too helpful.
Yeah, I watch a lot of UK creators as well, especially for D&D.
Dog? Dog, where are you going? Was it something I said? Huh? Dog, what are you... I think Dog needs a few bolts tightened. Look out! Dog, really, that was a little close.
Yeah, for real, that was close as hell.
How exactly
He almost
is this
killed
supposed to
us.
help us?
I'm not gonna lie.
What? Wait a minute. Oh no. You're not serious. Are you? Well, Gordon, unless you have a better suggestion, he is a robot. He's done the math.
That's true, he is a robot. He probably has done the math.
Uh-huh. I want you to get out of here as fast as you can. Go find Dad.
Skyrionn?
We'll catch
Okay.
up, don't worry. All right. I'll miss you too. Now don't worry about me. I'll see you soon. Get in the passenger side, Gordon.
Oh, we gotta enter the van. You know what? Maybe we'll pull it up here real quick before we go any further, and then we'll watch it real quick. Maybe that's what we'll do.
Before I lose my nerve.
So real quick, we'll hop back over here. Oh, that's weird. Oh, it must have reset. Hold on. Da, 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 da. A fate worse than death. All right, let me see here. Come on, get over here. Let's go to YouTube. One of the shorter ones? Okay. And then, let's see. Oh, you know what? I can still click on the link. Oh, nope, never mind. But Skyrionn, copy. We go here. And then we go paste. Boom. And then we'll pop back over here. And that is sus as hell right there. That top one.
Do you need a free, easy way to capture your...
We got an ad. Yeah, I don't pay for YouTube Premium, so we got ads. You get so many malicious links in my Instagram. Yeah, I don't doubt it. But so far, you're the only person who has put links. So, and I allowed it because I knew what was going to be. But links should work. I don't know why it's not. Maybe I got to reset it because I did download a new OBS. So maybe that was the issue there. All right, here we go.
After the Combine Empire invaded planet Earth, they implemented various adjustments to the very foundation of the planet in an effort to acquire resources and to instill fear into those that would still rally against them. One of these methods showed just how brutal the Combine were and displayed the lack of empathy for the species they had conquered, where they experimented on humanity itself in a torturous way. What was this experiment? What changes did the Combine make to those unfortunate enough to be selected for this? And how were these new additions to the Combine's army used? Here, we explore in the lore and story behind the Stalkers.
The Stalkers.
The war between the Combine and the armies of Earth was short but horrific, and on the 7th hour, this multi-dimensional alien empire was approached by a spokesperson for humanity, where he offered their submission in return for their lives. But not every member of humanity agreed to this offer and continued to fight for their species.
Of course, I mean, that's what we see throughout the games. There's huge resistance, so obviously, yeah, there's definitely people who fight against it, but probably people who fight against it that still end up in their hands and transferred over to their side, not even by their own will, right? Absolutely.
Over their time exploring various dimensions and universes, the Combine conquered countless species, where, upon a successful invasion, they took the valuable resources each planet held, but the worst part was what they did with the sentient life forms that had once occupied them. Each species was different from the last, and with an ever-growing army, they looked at the biology of each species, and after exploration and experimentation, they manipulated and adapted their biology in an attempt to form new units for their armies.
So this is what you were talking about earlier, Broken, is that even these gunships are different species that they have conquered and turned to their own, conscripted, basically. That's crazy. Yeah, and I'm sure it's even worse than I'm thinking here.
Each one mentally adapted to follow their rules. And as time went on, many species were brutalized and twisted into the Combine units the Resistance encounter today, some of which known being the Hunter, Advisor, Strider, and so on.
The more terrifying aspects of post-humanism are also explored with the Cybermen from Doctor Who. Exactly, that is very true. I've actually seen a lot of Doctor Who as well. It's not my favorite show, but it was pretty damn good. Especially some of the seasons. Not the later seasons, but yeah. I definitely know where you're getting at with the Cybermen. Yeah, for sure.
As time passed on a Combine-controlled Earth, these aliens once again experimented with this new sentient life form they had, and looked at all of the possibilities the human biological structure could be used for. The most prominent being members of the Overwatch. These had volunteered to join the human arm of the Combine army in return for additional benefits, with little to no biological modifications. But there was another.
Like we see with Bernie, right? So he was a double agent, but he still was within their ranks and pretty much not touched at all. Yeah, so I get that. It makes sense.
That was not so optional. A modification, some would say, was a fate worse than death.
So that's what Eli was going to end up being, because he was so smart and one of the leaders of the resistance that they were going to try and use him for their own gain. Yeah, I can totally see it. I guess that's how you would do it. I mean, why wouldn't they, right? They've been doing this for a very long time throughout the universe, and maybe other universes as well.
The Combine, for the most part, held control over the population of planet Earth extremely well. But with every species that endures an invasion, there will always be outliers that continuously fight back with the aim to return life to the way it was.
But the thing you gotta understand is, even if they do succeed in taking down the Combine, life will not return to the way that it was. Not even close. There are things that have happened now that other people are going to use, even to their advantage. The invasion from the Second Doctor is a great one, with the Cybermen, where the owner of an evil electronics manufacturer is working with the Cybermen to invade Earth. Very similar plot. Yeah, it really was. Yeah, very similar plot. Agreed. Yeah.
Combine were of course aware of these outliers, and so they devised a way to put a stop to these resistance fighters while simultaneously growing their armies and workforce, where they developed the Stalker. The Combine chose the infamous prison of Nova Prospekt to set up their production of this new edition. This was likely due to it already being a place that the human population feared, and where they already had a large quantity of prisoners to experiment on, the majority being captured resistance members, and the unfortunate few who were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. While Nova Prospekt was one of the known locations of this barbaric procedure, there may have been other factories across the wasteland. Once selected, the humans were adapted in this surgical procedure.
So this is footage from that camera that we saw earlier when we entered the facility with our little buddies. Yeah.
Their hands and lower legs were amputated and replaced with metallic limbs. This adaptation was chosen for two reasons. The first, limited mobility so that the Stalkers would stay in one location, and the second, so that these new limbs could interface perfectly with Combine terminals. The most terrifying transformation was found on their faces, where the Combine chose to destroy the face completely and instead installed a faceplate that allowed them to activate and deactivate the Stalkers when not in use. This also came with mental conditioning to even allow such a feat on the human brain, where it could be turned on and off on command.
So essentially, they wanted them to be machines just so they could be used. That's also something that happens you see in Warhammer 40k. They also have the same concept like that, where they basically enslave them and wipe their memories. Well, not quite wipe their memories, but force them to want to do the job, and it's very terrifying. It's basically the same thing. They replace all their parts. Which faction is that? That is the human faction, under the Emperor, actually. Yeah, yeah. Yep, they conscript guys, and then if they don't do what they were supposed to be doing, they turn them into those. Yeah. Well, that's good. You're familiar with it? Yeah, I've been watching a lot of deep dives from Nux Taku, and yeah, all the 40k stuff is terrifying, except for maybe the orc ones. The dreadnought is a coffin tank. Yes, it is. Those things are crazy. Anyway, let's get back
Behind
into
this faceplate, they were also fitted with high-powered welding lasers, where their eyes had once been, which, upon activation, allowed them to cut through objects with ease thanks to pinholes in their faceplates. Designed to be drone workers to exist in solitary as they performed Combine control tasks across the wasteland, their bodies were drastically transformed to aid this. In their new form of existence, they no longer required a way to communicate with anything around them, so their ability to speak was taken away, where it is believed either their vocal cords or their larynx was removed, leaving them only the ability to grunt. In their new roles, they were required to work unsupervised for long periods of time, and in order to reduce maintenance, the Combine took out their digestive tracts that relied on regular food, and instead installed a gastric port where they were fed with a Combine-designed cocktail of essential nutrients to keep them alive and operating. In doing this, their bodies withered away into a basic, vulnerable frame with just enough muscle and body fat to keep them together. And without the requirement for reproduction, these poor souls also had their reproductive systems removed entirely.
Yeah, this is exactly like what they do in 40K. I mean, except for maybe replacing their limbs the way they do. But otherwise, yeah, it's the same thing. They make them go into the reactors where the radioactivity is, do all the maintenance and all of everything. It's very similar. They make them take away their digestive systems and all that and replace it to where they can just work 24/7. However, they cannot talk in the 40K version. So they're just basically mindless slaves in that version. But they are very similar.
To complete this brutal mutilation of the human body, the Stalkers went through mental conditioning to serve the Combine and their orders, which eventually transformed them from barely human into biological husks working as a part of a larger workforce. Following their transformation, the Combine transported their Stalkers in pods to various locations across the wasteland through the use of razor trains, where they were set to work for the remainder of their days. The only known location so far was the Citadel in City 17. Here, they were stationed mostly in the lower levels to work with and maintain the core, monitored from afar by Overwatch units. And they were even noted to guard the core against any intruders that managed to slip into the Citadel. Their lasers had the ability to cut through metal, and if a resistance member were to be struck by them, they would not survive this encounter. In these moments, cementing the fact that the Stalkers now lived only as mindless slaves to serve the Combine, completely unaware of what they once were. There may have been many other locations and uses for the Stalkers across the planet, but if these did exist, the Combine kept them secret.
Nope.
This game, you're not ready.
Yeah, we don't care, blah, blah, blah. But yes, yeah, that is absolutely terrifying, 100%. Yeah, nobody wants that kind of fate, for sure.
Of planet Earth. Across the planet. But if these did exist, the Combine kept them secret. Approximately 20 years after the Combine's invasion of planet Earth, 2 Resistance members found themselves in Nova Prospekt, but they had not been captured. They had come here by choice with a plan to rescue one of the leaders of the Resistance. As Gordon Freeman and Alex Vance navigated the prison, they eventually discovered Dr. Eli Vance, but were unsuccessful in their rescue attempt. And to escape the prison, they used an unstable teleporter, which then exploded, taking out part of the facility with it. Although it is unknown whether this explosion took out the part of the facility where the Stalkers were made, it did remove the fear that the Resistance once had about the prison, which began the uprising. If Stalkers could no longer be made, and a major Combine stronghold could be destroyed, then the Combine were not as strong as humanity believed them to be.
True, that was a huge wake-up calling here, with them destroying the whole facility, for sure. However, they still don't have enough resources or manpower to really pull off anything crazy and remove them from the planet. You got to keep that in mind. But, Gordon Freeman basically goes through in Superhumans the whole thing. He is the one key to all of this in some faction.
Over the next week, the Resistance took back their city block by block until eventually Gordon Freeman arrived in the Citadel. Within the lower levels, the Stalkers worked away, fulfilling their orders given to them by their masters, and even when an explosion left the Citadel unstable, they continued to work, completely unaware of their surroundings, focused solely on keeping the Citadel running. The explosion had been the destruction of a dark fusion reactor on top of the giant structure, which in turn had cut off the Combine's connection to their overworld. So, in a desperate attempt to reclaim their hold over Earth, they essentially set the Citadel to self-destruct to use the energy from this explosion to send off a data packet in the hope to get reinforcements. But to keep the Citadel running until they could manage this, the Stalkers continued to work, unaware of what was happening around them. Although their transformation had been a harrowing experience on the person they had once been, the Combine had no regard for human life, and
It's true. We see that for a fact, that they usually send people out just to round them up and murder them. Beat them up until they submit if they feel like it. This is absolutely true. Yeah, it makes the most sense. I mean, they really don't care. I mean, they've done this for so long that no species really holds meaning other than their own. Do you know about Entropy Zero, where you play as a Combine soldier? That used to be human. Um, I want to say I've heard about it. I don't think I've ever played it for sure. Um, but I have the whole Half-Life collection here, or at least the one that was released on Steam. So it might be a part of it. It's Blue Shift and all of that. I'm sure it's on there somewhere. And if I haven't, I'll look into it and see about playing it, because that would be interesting, especially to me since I'd never played it before.
these were merely replaceable parts of a biological machine. Over this tumultuous time, the Citadel did fall, where all of the Stalkers inside were destroyed with it. In a way, this wave of power released these poor humans from a tortured existence, even if they were
The second game acts as a fan sequel to Portal and Half-Life. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that Portal and Half-Life take place in the same universe, in the same place, right? I think they take place on Earth, right? And I played all through Portal and Portal 2. But I don't remember there being anything other than little subtle hints.
not aware of it. It is likely that the creation of Stalkers may have been the worst fate that a human could go through in a Combine-controlled universe. But the universe is a big
Yes, in the episodes of Half-Life 2, there is a reference to a certain boat. Yeah, exactly. And there's references in both of the games, for sure. 100%.
place, and there may be many other horrors out there.
This is World of Warcraft, but there's
Oh.
no classes because there's archetypes instead. An archetype is a few.
And skip. There we go. We're back, but we go back a little bit.
Without an active Nova prospect to create new Stalkers, and with the Resistance fighting to reclaim their planet, it appears that the Stalker population in existence may very well be the last. These people had once been champions for change, reduced to mere cogs in.
It went from a cut location to the thing that pairs the games into their universe. Okay, so it was like an in-between thing that shows both. Okay, interesting. Yeah, you'll have to... Well, we'll have to look at that, Bones. For sure.
A giant combine machine through a barbaric and evil procedure. And as for the remaining Stalkers in existence, there is hope that the Resistance will come across them and finally allow them peace from an awful existence. Now, I absolutely love the lore and story behind the Stalkers in Half-Life because this is one of the darker parts of the world that just show how evil and merciless the Combine are when interacting with humanity. But they were actually intended to have a different function in the story. According to Ted Bachman, one of the developers on Half-Life 2, he stated that the Stalkers originated from the idea that they wanted to create something that crept around in the shadows and lunged at the player. This then turned into something more horrific that the Stalkers were actually victims to. This is genius as it does put the player in a moral dilemma really. As Ted put,
I mean, true, it puts you in a very big moral dilemma, other than the fact that, well, we don't really know anything about it unless we really dig into the lore, right? But most gamers these days wouldn't even hesitate. They don't care about these kind of moral implications. I mean, I would like to see little tidbits in games like this where it does come up, and maybe Gordon Freeman has to make a decision about what's going on with these stalkers. That would be crazy. I would love to see that.
it is a more horrific situation than coming across something that just wants to eat your brains. It's a smart move and absolutely added more to the lore in the world. Moving on, Mark Laidlaw then said that after they came up with the Stalkers having this tragic backstory, they then did their best to make them as creepy as possible by having them crouch down and follow the players around from behind until they turned around, which eventually acted as a jump scare. There were other ideas where the player would use the Stalkers to solve puzzles by manipulating their lasers to cut through objects like metal sheets and beams, but in Mark...
That would have been awesome. I don't remember that happening in these games, but that would have been sick. That would have been really good. Being able to manipulate these guys and maybe freeing their minds somehow into helping you out with your puzzles, that would be interesting. I have spoken before about a Half-Life game with divergent storyline games, but that is too big an ask. No, it definitely is. They're not going to go for that whole thing, for sure. But would we love to see that? Yes, absolutely. And that's what fan-made stuff is about. I'm sure there's some sort of fan-made comic book or something that takes things a little bit differently, which I'm sure would be interesting. People would run with a lot of things. Absolutely.
Laidlaw's words, this came across as scripted and stagey, and although it sounded great in concept, it just wasn't fun. So they decided to revert to what we have now, where the Stalkers are essentially objects in the Combine's army. My take from this is that I would have absolutely loved the whole stalking the player feature. I like horror games, and I feel like it could have added a bit more to the game, where the Stalkers were mentally conditioned for different parts in the army, Maybe some were used to operate machinery, and others were used to hunt down resistance members. That's my thought on this anyway. The concept art I have been showing throughout this section really captures the tragic nature of these creatures, if I can call them that. They're barely human after the Combine's awful transformation of them, and I truly believe this is one of the worst things that could happen to someone. This is a much shorter episode than usual.
Yeah, 100%. That would be something horrible that, yeah, it's uncomparable and unthinkable to do to somebody else. Yet we see it here in some of these games, but I mean, certain people have thought of things like this in real life, which is even more scary. So take from that what you will, but let's see. Killing Mossman before she escapes the prison with Eli would be a great story split. No, absolutely. That definitely would be for sure. 100%. That would lead to something very interesting. And that's what I'm talking about with Half-Life. There's so many things they could have done to just keep the franchise keep going other than just Half-Life Alyx. They could have made alternate reality games, they could have made non-canon things that still would have sold great, but they just decided they didn't want to do it for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you what it is, but yeah.
And this is for two main reasons. The first, that last week's video took a lot of time to put together, and honestly, it was incredibly draining. And the second, that it's Halloween season.
Yeah, they did, but they also had the same opportunities to do other things. Like Half-Life 3, they promised that for so long, and they just never did. And then we got Half-Life Alyx, which people say is not canon, but who knows what part of it is or isn't, so to speak. They like to pander a lot, but they really should just do what they do. I mean, there's already enough of them. I mean, yeah, there is enough of those games, for sure. But, that's what a lot of people wanted back then. So they decided, oh, well, we go where the money is. Alex retcons episode 2 ending. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. 100%. Agreed. I do remember that. And they could still expand on that if they really wanted to and make it canon. But I really don't think they're going to. And it would be the right move because then they could say, oh, that's Half-Life 3. Bam. We slap that together. We take our old concepts that we wanted, enhance them, do it. And it shouldn't take that long, right? I would assume. I mean, as long as a game actually takes to develop and all that, there's a lot of stuff to go through with all that. But they've done Half-Life for so long, they know what they're doing. They could easily make it happen.
The best holiday of the year, and I wanted to pick a nice and easy scary story in the wasteland of Half-Life, so this felt right. I couldn't help but feel sorry for the Stalkers, as you do have a bit of a dilemma when you come across them: leave or kill them. They once fought for freedom, and in return, they were mentally and physically conditioned to work for the Combine, without their own thoughts or humanity really. This is just one of the many
What's gone? I don't know what's going on here, but my mic keeps going in and out. It's weird. I keep having to unmute it. But yeah, CS is very, very basic, and that's what a lot of people want to play is something like that, but is very competitive and team oriented. That's what a lot of people want to see these days, kind of like Apex used to be. It isn't anymore. Like, it's only basically tournament now for high ranked people. But yeah, for sure.
Tragic tales that happens in the Half-Life series, and one of the things that makes this series one of the best. This was the lore and story behind the Stalkers in Half-Life. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and a comment on your thoughts. It helps boost the video in the algorithm. If you would like to stay up to date with everything I do outside of YouTube and fancy some behind the scenes content,
I saw Fortnite when it launched as a single player zombie castle defense game. Yeah, that was crazy. I remember seeing that as well. And it really has changed a lot. And mostly because they wanted some of that, some of the kid gamers. That's what they were really going for. And they wanted to make more money by doing that. And it really worked out a lot. It did. I'm not going to lie. I mean, they pander to what they need to do in order to make what they got to make. And I get it. We're seeing it all the time now. Very few game developers are not even being able to do stuff anymore. They brought back the classic game like WoW did. Yes, exactly. No, that's very true. And nothing else actually still comes anywhere close to WoW. I do agree. I tried for a long time to find an MMO that was just as good, and there isn't. There really isn't, in my opinion. And but I was so addicted to WoW. I played it for so long competitively that it was just crazy, and I couldn't do it anymore. You reach a certain point where it just gets boring eventually. But that's any game for sure. All right. Well, I think that's about it for the game for this video here, and we'll jump back into the game.